I'm Marbeth Dunn, an energy management specialist and miracles mentor. And I want to invite you to this evening's show. It's energy management when bad things happen, like the Parkland shooting. I know that very many of us can be very, very sensitive or empathic. So if you're sensitive to other people's energy, do you feel it in your own body? And I want you to feel free to write any comments or questions that you may have, and I'll do everything I can to respond to you. And also, before we get started, if you're a highly sensitive or empathic business professional and you want to ditch your stress and overwhelm for success and happiness, and if that's something that you want to do, maybe to attract more miracles, then I want to invite you to join my Miracle Rockstars group. This might be the group for you. And that's a free group for highly sensitive. Oh, hi, Christine. Hi, nice to see you here. Yes. Hi, welcome. So, I want you to feel free to write comments if you have any or questions, and I'll do my best to respond. I also, in the Facebook group, I have a link to my free ebook, which is Stop Your Self-Sabotaging Patterns with Energy Management. So I'm an energy management specialist, and you may be wondering, what is it? And what does it have to do with tonight's topic, which is about when bad things happen and you're empathic. And what energy management is a holistic framework that individualizes life enhancement. And it synthesizes energy healing techniques, spiritual practices, empowerment training, mind expansion, consciousness expansion, and yoga. So it's really a broad spectrum approach to life's challenges that are caused by a number of issues that are simple or complex. Yeah, so the Institute of Heart Math has done a lot of work with the heart, the energy of the heart field. And what they've discovered and proven scientifically, that the energy from our heart field can reach out many, many feet and overlap with other people's energy. And I've discovered from my own energy work that I can access people's energy from other countries, from across the sea in Europe or in Australia or in Taiwan. And I can feel in my body where they're holding their stuff. So I know that we are much more than these physical bodies. Now, Kundalini Yoga will teach you that we have 10 energy bodies, that 9 of them overlap they're like overlays over our physical body. And that we have an energy body, we have an emotional body, and very often issues become stuck in these bodies. For example, you have a trauma when you're a child, something happens and it's just a really shocking event for you. You don't know what to do with it because it's too big for you. Maybe you lost a parent, or maybe somebody shamed you or hurt you in some way. And it was just so overwhelming and it was too big for you. And so it was encapsulated in one of these, energy or emotional bodies. And what's happened is that now that you're grown up and it's still there and it's blocking the flow. So, and if you have any comments or questions, be sure to post them and I'll be able to see them and share them with our audience also. And I'll do my best to answer them on the call. This is interactive. So what happens is when we have these emotional upsets and they become encapsulated with our bodies, they can block the flow and they can block you from financial success, from career success, from successful relationships. It's kind of an oversimplified explanation, but you get the idea. We hold energy in our bodies. And as an empath, which we'll talk a little more about being an empath, I can feel where my clients are holding their stuck energy in their body. And so I can help them release it using energy management, which is basically a variety of different techniques. It's a holistic umbrella, if you will. Now, as a spiritual being, you have access to unlimited wisdom and power and peace. And yet, sadly, so many people are just not aware of their own magnitude, their own amazing magnificence. And Marianne Williamson speaks about this. It's actually taken from A Course in Miracles, where we are not afraid of our failures, we're afraid of our magnificence. And that's very true. And energy management can help you to reconnect with Source, God, the universe, and restore your power and peace of mind. Your thoughts are very powerful. While the average person generates perhaps 8,000 thoughts every day, A Course in Miracles will tell us that there's no such thing as an idle thought. So have you allowed your thinking to keep you small and powerless? Because energy management offers simple techniques to shift your self-sabotaging beliefs and thoughts to dynamic ones that'll empower you to be your greatest, most amazingly magnificent self. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like to be an empath. Do you feel other people's energy in your body? Do you feel that you're carrying other people's stuff? I find very often that my clients, I'd say probably 80 to 85% of the time, are carrying other people's stuff. So anyway, I'm an empath, and I know that a lot of people on the call are empathic as well. And what happens for me is that I generally feel other people's stuff in my body. Most of the time when I'm working with people, I'm absolutely fine with it. You know, I'm able to disconnect my energy, and I feel good almost all the time. So for most of my life, I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know anything about being an empath. I didn't know that I was an empath. And so when I'd go to a party or be in a crowded event, very often I would feel like I was being assaulted, and I would feel maybe that my lungs would constrict. And I didn't realize what that was. I thought there was just something wrong with me. And basically what I was experiencing was I was feeling other people's energy. And I discovered this by chance when I was becoming a Reiki master, and I was subbing for a friend of mine. Oh, there are all the comments. Oh, yes, they all just, oh, yes. Now, all these people are empaths. We have Vicky Luckman, and we have, I don't know why things show up the way they do. And now we have Michelle Rosano. Yes. And Malene Carroll. Thank you. You know I'm not alone here. There are a lot of us. And this is the free ebook. And Vicki, it's wonderful to see you again. And Maud and Julena. Hi, Julena, you made it. I'm so happy that you made it. And Harrison. Hi, Harrison. I am fine, Malene. Thank you so much. Wow. Maylin. It's Maylin. Yes. Oh, wow. It's wonderful to see you guys. So I was subbing for a friend at a spa. I was the Reiki person for the day. And when I went there, the massage therapist hugged me. And the next morning I woke up and I felt awful. Have any of you had that experience where you have this sense that you feel like something is wrong, but you don't feel like it's yours. Well, I had that feeling. Anybody have that feeling? It may take a minute or two or three or four for these comments to show up, but I'm glad that they are finally. So when I realized the next day, I went over my day and I thought about every single instance where I interacted with someone else. And when I got to the part where I hugged the massage therapist, I had a click of recognition. I was like, oh yeah. So I very carefully pushed that energy out of my body and I felt great again. And so that was the first experience that I recognized that I had that. That was very cool. When I did my Kundalini yoga training, the first weekend, there was a lot of work that was being done, of personal growth work that was being released through the energy of the Kundalini yoga. And I felt like I was split apart because I was actually processing everybody's stuff in addition to my own. And so I contacted the teacher. I said, I don't think I can do this training. But then I figured out a way of managing the energy there, and I was able to do it. So there are always these workarounds, but we have to figure out what they are. And then often there's stale energy. You know, if we've ever been to a movie theater or an event and it can feel like really crowded or the energy feels really heavy, if you notice that. So I have had that experience and I've had to clear the theater or clear the event or go outside. And I'll go into some of these techniques a little later on the call. I think it's really important that I share them because I know I'm not alone here. And I know a lot of people really deal with being an empath. And when you don't know what to do, when something comes up and you know it's not yours and it's really scary and it's affecting your health, you have to deal with it. So let's move forward to the presidential election that was so tumultuous. And there were a lot of people that were very fearful and angry and anxious. And for 2 weeks after the election, I felt anxious, this anxiety and depression that I couldn't figure out what it was. Now, had I thought to ask, is this mine, which is the normal question to ask when something like this happens, I would have done it. But it took me maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks to figure that out. And when I did, and I asked, is this mine? I got a resounding no. So I immediately took care of the issue. And I was fine because I know how to do it. I teach people how to do it. And I'm going to teach you tonight. Then we had the Fort Lauderdale airport shooting. I live in Florida. I live in Parkland. And Fort Lauderdale airport is maybe 30 minutes from the house. And so when I heard about the shooting, the first thing that I did was to send love and light. And that is what I do. That's my go-to, because I knew that people were suffering and I just surrounded them with love and light. And I felt good. I didn't have any physical issues. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I definitely felt, I felt some compassion for the victims, but I didn't feel victimized. When the Parkland shooting happened, it was 5 blocks from my house. And initially, when the shooting happened and the helicopters were overhead and I was watching everything on television, I felt confusion. And I immediately went into gear to send love and peace and blessings to all the people who were involved. And I had no problem. But 2 weeks later, when the students returned to school at 9 o'clock, I immediately, all of a sudden, I could not breathe. I could not catch my breath. Now, if you've ever had that happen, it's very scary. And luckily I had an inhaler and I went and I used it, but I felt very disconcerted and off kilter for the rest of the day. And I knew it had to do with the students returning. There was so much fear and panic of going back into that scenario of where they had been so terrorized. And so the very next day I decided, well, I'm going to do some yoga today. And about 8:45, I was doing my yoga. Immediately at 9 o'clock, the same thing happened. Suddenly I couldn't breathe. Well, this had never happened to me before. And I was pretty stunned because I sent the love and light. I sent all the peace. I surrounded them all with love and light and peace, but it wasn't working. And I was so shocked. Again, I used an inhaler, and the next morning I was proactive. I gathered up all the big guns that I could do, and I was able to withstand the whole experience. But I was very confused. And what I felt was that when, in the past, when I have had an issue, and for the longest time, when I realized I'm an empath and this is something that's really heavy, and it's a wonderful gift. I use it to help people. It's a wonderful, beautiful experience, and for the most part. But there are times when it can be very disconcerting. And so I started to think, maybe I shouldn't be an empath. Maybe I can do something to shift this. Maybe I'm feeling too much like a victim. Does anybody ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like a victim because you're empathic and you're feeling other people's energy? Well, I was definitely feeling like a victim, and I didn't really know what to do. So very often when we don't know what to do, it's like we're sitting inside a jar and we can't read the label on the outside. Have you ever been there? Well, I find that when I can't read the label, I have friends that have had a lot of training as well, and I call them and I ask for help. And so what I learned, which was really interesting, was that in the other experiences where I had gone outside to clear the energy and I was able to ground and feel really strong with Mother Earth, or when I sent love and peace to the people that were experiencing the trauma of the election or the trauma of the Fort Lauderdale shooting, I was not resonant with that pattern. We're composed of information, energy and information. And we just seem like we're these bodies. Bodies are really the realm of the ego, concerned with appearance, concerned with people that, are doing things to us. I'm concerned more with the realm of energy. And when we think of yourself as patterns of light and information, how cool is that? Well, I had some information that was resonant with the children that were traumatized by the Parkland shooting. Because I was resonant with it, I could not release it. I had to actually discover what the pattern was and then release it. So that was very illuminating for me. And of course, we can use the energy management, techniques of energy management to move through that. So there were a number of different patterns, and energy management will work with these different patterns. I had some issues that were from past lives and other from past events in my teenage years that were very traumatic. And so I resonated with those emotions. When you experience something that is an empathic experience, first thing you want to ask, is this mine? The chances are it might not be. And then you can just push it out. Push it out of your body. And you can ask for angelic assistance with that. There are a number of techniques I can teach you. You can then also send love and peace to the person or people who are experiencing the event. And if you're not resonant with it, that will totally take care of it. Always ask, is it mine? And I realized that I was not done being an empath, that it didn't have to be synonymous with victim, because truthfully, I use this wonderful empathic sense that I have, this extra sensory perception of empathy, to be able to help people. And it's almost like I get a computer printout in my body of where they're holding their stuff and their energy and emotional bodies. I can feel it, and I get intuitively what the issue is. So by my thinking, I'm done with being an empath, what I was doing is I was creating resistance. And you know what happens when you push against something, the resistance gets worse. Well, it gets stronger. And that's what was happening. So I realized that wasn't the issue. The issue was that I needed to look at what was keeping me stuck and deal with it. And then the issue all went away. So that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you. And I was wondering, did anybody have any questions? It is really so nice to see everybody here. Vicki, it's so nice to see you again. And I'm going to be doing these broadcasts, like a show on a regular basis. I would love to have you join me. I'll be back next Tuesday, a little earlier in the day. But if you like my Facebook page, Mindset Miracles with Marbeth, if you like the page, then you will get notification. And if you miss the broadcast, you'll get the replay. If any of you have any questions or comments, please comment, and hopefully it will show up. It's funny, it didn't post like it normally would, like in a Facebook group. I'm on a Be Live page, and it's my first experience actually doing this kind of a show on Facebook, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's a good experience for me. I hope you're enjoying it too. But I'll be back Tuesday with another show, and like my page, join the group, get the free ebook, and thank you. If you have any questions, hopefully, I guess you don't. I don't see any comments. Maybe on Facebook, let's see. And we'll see if anybody has posted. And anyway, thank you, Maylin. It's really nice to see you. Okay, there I am. And I am seeing. Oh, okay. And Michelle Rosano said, try breathing in eucalyptus instead of inhalers. Uses those in a crisis. Oh, very, very. Yeah. You're in Canada, downtown shootings often. I sleep away from the window. Love and peace to you, Sister Empath. Thank you. That's very, very sweet, Michelle. I really appreciate that. Oh, and Harrison had commented empathy and sympathy. So yeah, we've got lots of comments, and I really appreciate everybody joining me here. I will be checking your comments. Yeah, the comments still haven't shown up on the Be Live, and but overall, I like the video, and comments were a little bit slow, but other than that, I think we're good. So unless you guys have any questions, I am going to say good night, and I will be back on Tuesday with another energy management broadcast.